How's it going, YouTube? It's Noah back again with a new video. And yes, I know I've been away for a very long time. I'm sorry, I just completely lost all motivation to do anything. But you know what? It's Monday, September 3rd right now. NFL comes back on Thursday. Yesterday was last Sunday without football. And you know what? I thought I'd revamp a series I somewhat did last year where I previewed and reviewed each NFL week. So yeah, and I've actually figured out how to record on PC now, so I don't have to put some lame ass Madden coverage in the back and just talk over it. So now I can actually show you my picks on the NFL.com website on the Pick'em site. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through each game, gonna explain why I think each team will win, and yeah, that's basically about it. So I guess we'll get right into it. First game, Thursday Night Football, opening game of the NFL season. My favorite team, the Atlanta Falcons, are going on the road to face the Philadelphia Eagles. Rematch of the playoff game last year in the divisional round, which the Eagles won 15-10 on their way to the Super Bowl. Now, big thing about this game is a lot of injuries piling up for the Eagles. They recently announced Carson Wentz might not be back until week 2 or 3, so he's definitely going to miss this game. Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, announced as a starter. Alshon Jeffrey, the number one receiver, is out as well. And, I mean, the Falcons, you could argue, were the closest team to beating the Eagles last year. I mean, they held them to 15 points, whereas the Eagles destroyed the Patriots and the Vikings, who were actually thought they had better defenses than the Falcons. The Falcons went on the road in Philly last year, only lost by 5. And from what I've heard, the Falcons really don't have any injuries. I've been trying to keep up with them. I don't watch preseason that much, but haven't heard much from the injury front. They haven't really cut anyone noteworthy from what I saw. I looked at the cuts. I didn't really see anyone big. So, you know what? I think, I don't know why. It's already selected the Falcons. I don't know why it has, but I think I'm going to keep it there. I think the Falcons are being underrated this year. I think people are already counting them out. But I mean, they had a good run last year. I mean, they went 10-6, and their team was not very good. Definitely their offense wasn't very good. First year under the offense coordinator Steve Sarkisian, it wasn't great. But I mean, they went 10-6, won a playoff game on the road with the Rams, and I mean, you could very well argue they were one 1 yard away from the NFC Championship game. So I'm going to pick the Atlanta Falcons in the upset. Final score, I don't know, 27-20. That sounds about right. I think it'll be a close game, definitely. If Carson Wentz was playing, I would probably pick the Eagles. But since Nick Foles is playing and the Falcons played him last year, did pretty well, I'll pick the Falcons. 33% of people agree with me. I'm not looking at the percentages until after. I'll show you the percentages since I think they're interesting. But yeah, I'm not going by what people think. I'm going by what I think. So now, the Sunday games, the Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. Patriots obviously coming off that disappointing Super Bowl loss where Tom Brady threw for 505 yards. But the defense gave up 41 points because Malcolm Butler was on the bench and they just couldn't stop Nick Foles or the running game. They couldn't stop anything the entire game. And on the other side, Houston coming off a disappointing 4-12 year, but only because their star rookie quarterback last year, Deshaun Watson, tore his ACL after like 5 games. He was lighting the league on fire, got hurt, and then the wheels just fell off when Tom Savage went in. So they had a pretty close game last year. I think the Patriots only won by 3, and the Texans actually had a lead until like very late when Tom Brady mounted a game-winning drive. So I think this will be close, closer than people might think. But I mean, you got to pick the Patriots, right? Yep. 83% agree with me here. Got to pick the Patriots. I mean, at home against the second-year quarterback coming off an injury, you got Tom Brady, who in my opinion is the best quarterback in NFL history. That's definitely debatable, but he is to me. At home, I mean, I think they'll be fine. They did lose their DC Matt Patricia, but it's not like they did well in the Super Bowl. So I think Belichick will get it back together after that horrible Super Bowl loss, and I think they can beat the Texans. Final score, I don't know, New England 35, Houston 21. Next game, Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to MetLife. Is it still MetLife? It used to be the Meadowlands, but I think they renamed it MetLife. I don't know if it's still called MetLife. But they're going on the road to New Jersey to face the New York Giants. That's right. New York Giants play in New Jersey. It makes no sense. Whatever. Now, this is a very interesting game. Last year, the Giants went 4-12. It's just freaking wagging off the cliff, man. It was a horrible season, man. Eli Manning got benched for Geno Smith one game. His consecutive start streak went out the window. Uh, no running game whatsoever. Offensive line straight garbage. Defense wasn't great, but they do have some stars there. And on the other side, Jacksonville had a dream season. After years of mediocrity or just playing terrible, they made the playoffs for the first time since 2007, behind Blake Bortles at quarterback. Leonard Fournette, the rookie out of LSU last year, had a great season. But it was all about their defense. Saxonville defense was just great. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye, two of the best young corners in the game. They're great D-line. They got one of the most underrated D-linemen in the NFL in Yannick Ngakoue. How does this guy have 10-plus sack seasons 2 straight years? Barely even talk about him, man. I didn't even know who he was until last year. No one talks about Jacksonville. They obviously got the freaking veteran beast, Calais Campbell, on that line, too. So, great team. But on the Giants side, we got, obviously, Odell's going to be healthy this year, which is big. He missed a lot of time last year. I think he only played 4 games last year out of 16, so that's not good. But he's back. Sterling Shepard's back. They let go of Brandon Marshall, who was an extreme disappointment for the Giants, and then he got hurt. Obviously, number 2 pick in the draft, they draft Saquon Barkley out of Penn State, which is big for them because they really needed a running back. They had absolutely no running game last year. It was horrible. I had the mispleasure of watching like 3 or 4 full Giants games, and yeah, they just had no running game whatsoever. So that's a big help. And obviously they got Eli Manning at quarterback, and he's not the guy he used to be, but I like him. I think he's a solid player. I believe in Eli. I don't think he was the problem in New York last year. I think a lot of crap went wrong. I didn't like Ben McAdoo as coach. They fired him. Now they got Pat Shurmur. I think they could surprise people this year. Do I think they make the playoffs? Probably not. But an 8-8 record or something like that, I think that would be pretty good after 4-12 years. And you know what? Going on the road to MetLife, it's not an easy game for Jacksonville, and I might get some flack with for this, but I'm actually going to pick the Giants in the upset. 24% of people agree with me, but I think this is Jacksonville's first good season since 2007. They're a little high on their horses right now. Jalen Ramsey's talking a lot of crap about Eli in the media, so I think they could surprise people. I think they might come out motivated, and they are at home. They want to prove something to their home fans. I think they can win, but it'll be close. I think, obviously, it's going to be a defensive game. The Giants have no slouch of a defense either, even if theirs isn't as bad or good as Jacksonville's. So, I'm going to go final score, New York Giants 24, Jaguars 21. Next game, and this could be a barn burner right here. This could be a great game right here. San Francisco 49ers going on the road to Minnesota to face the Vikings. Now, obviously, these teams made 2 big moves in the offseason with their quarterbacks. They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo last year, and in the offseason, they signed into a freaking 5-year, $137 million extension, locked their guy up after he absolutely lit the league on fire the last 5 games. It was incredible. The story of the entire NFL. On the other side, the Vikings last year, they made the NFC Championship game, got slaughtered by the Eagles, but they did go 13-3. But they just didn't want to keep Case Keenum, didn't feel his dances, so they went out and freaking signed Kirk Cousins from the Redskins right here. There they are. 3 years, $84 million, all guaranteed. The first fully guaranteed contract in NFL history. Now what do you see? All these rookies are suddenly getting fully guaranteed contracts. They can thank Kirk Cousins for that. And while I do like the 49ers, I do think people are overhyping them a little bit here. Yes, they went like 4-0 last year, or 5-0 under Garoppolo, and they dominated some of the best teams in the league. They slaughtered Jacksonville last year, and Jacksonville was a great team last year. But I do think they're getting overhyped. I think now the teams have had a full offseason to look at the 49ers, try and figure out how to stop them. I love their team. I do think they have a lot of talent. I like Jimmy G. I do think he's being a little overhyped right now. And I do think he might be overpaid at this point, but I think he has a great future. I like their wide receivers. Marquise Goodwin, one of the best speed threats in the NFL. They have a very solid young defense, mainly the D-line. But, this is Minnesota here. This is not a slot to a team. This is a team some people are picking to go 13-3 again and win the Super Bowl. I'm not going that far. I think they're a solid 10-11 win team. They'll probably win the North. Green Bay's right there. But I think with Dalvin Cook coming back from his injury last year, after that horrible injury, man, he missed most of the season. Kirk Cousins at quarterback is an upgrade over Case Keenum, and they got Stephon Diggs, who's a beast. Kyle Rudolph, one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL. And obviously their freaking defense is incredible. One of the best D-lines, probably the best actually in the NFL with freaking oh God, Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter, Linval Joseph. I mean, just name everyone on that D-line. They're all incredible. Harrison Smith is, in my opinion, the best safety in the entire league. Xavier Rhodes, top 3 corner in the league, undisputed. I think Minnesota's going to get a win at home here. And 79% of people agree with me. I'm going to go final score Minnesota 28, 49ers 17. Next game, oh God, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. One of my buddies is a big Buccaneers fan, but man, this is not gonna be easy for them. Saints dominated last year, went 11-5, lost obviously to the Vikings in the Minneapolis Miracle, but they're a great team. I mean, Drew Brees, future Hall of Famer, first ballot, undisputed, incredible player. He's on my top 3 quarterbacks all time. He's incredible. I mean, Alvin Kamara, the rookie sensation. Michael Thomas was one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. And their defense last year under rookie Marshawn Lattimore was great. Cam Jordan rushing off the edge. I mean, they got a linebacker core with no big names, but I mean, they all do their job pretty well. And on the other side, Buccaneers starting the veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick because Jameis Winston got suspended 3 games for domestic violence incident groping the Uber driver's crotch. So that's not good. And I don't know. I'm just not a Buccaneers aren't a bad team. I don't think they're just in a really, really tough division, and the NFC as a whole is really tough. So I don't know, man. Their schedule is murdered. Their first 3 weeks under Fitzpatrick, they're gonna have a lot to prove. And I don't know, just going on the road at the Superdome, I don't really give them much chance in this game. I'm gonna pick the Saints. 94% of people agree with me here. I'm gonna go final score: New Orleans 35, Tampa Bay 21. Next game, Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. Tennessee coming off a good season last year. They went 10-6. Didn't win their division, but they did sweep Jacksonville, who won the division. Going on the road to face Miami, who wasn't terrible last season under Jay Cutler. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill missed the whole season last year. That was unfortunate for him. And Jay Cutler started the whole year. Wasn't bad, actually. It was pretty respectable, but, I mean, I think they went 6-10, 7-9, something like that. Sounds about right. Or 6-9-1. Maybe they had a tie in there or something. 6 or 7 wins, basically. So, not a great team. They probably will be better with Tannehill. I do like the Kenyon Drake at running back. He's a solid young player. They did get rid of Jarvis Landry, though, which I don't like. Jarvis Landry is one of my favorite receivers in the NFL. I think he's an incredibly underrated player. Solid possession receiver. He's gone now. So they're going to have to rely more on Kenny Stills there. They did draft Mike Gesicki play tight end, so that's good for them. But I don't know. I think the Titans have a good team. I'm not the biggest fan of Mariota right now. I do think he's being overhyped a little bit. I was not impressed with what I saw from him last year. From 13 touchdowns to 15 interceptions is not going to cut it in this league. But I did love him coming out of Oregon. I do like the Ducks a little bit. I have a little soft spot for him, so I do hope he does well. Derrick Henry's a breakout this year because DeMarco Murray was released and then he retired. So now Henry is lead back. He was great in limited time last year. He's got a chance to show what he can do this year. They have a solid wide receiver core. Corey Davis, the second-year man. Hey, get your butt in there. Go. Sorry about that. My dog interrupted me. But they got a solid second-year man in Corey Davis. Rashard Matthews is a solid player. They have a definite top 5 tight end in Delaney Walker. That's being conservative. You could argue he's higher. You could argue he's 3rd or 4th. I like Greg Olsen more than him, but yeah, he's a pretty good player. They have an incredible defense as well. Kevin Byard at safety was an absolute gem for them last year, leading the league in interceptions with 8. They have a great team, and I do think they go on the road to win this game. 74% agree with me. I'm going to go final score. Oh, God. Tennessee 24, Dolphins 14. Next game. This is an absolute toss-up right here because I'm just not a big fan of either of these teams, to be honest. Mainly at the quarterback position. Buffalo Bills going on the road to face the Ravens. Joe Flacco, unsurprisingly, named the starter over Lamar Jackson. Anyone who saw him in preseason knew Lamar Jackson wasn't starting. I like the guy a lot, but he's got a lot of work to do with the passing game. The athleticism is there. We might see him in some kind of wildcat or option play. They might draw up 3 or 4 plays for him to get in the game, but Joe Flacco will be the main guy in the passing game. Nathan Peterman just named the starter for the Buffalo Bills over Josh Allen. They traded A.J. McCarron to Oakland. I think Peterman, he was terrible last year. I mean, obviously the 5 interception game in 1 half, absolute garbage. I mean, they should have. It was a bad move for them to bench Tyrod Taylor, and I understood it at the time. They wanted to shake things up, but it just didn't work out at all. He did have a great preseason, though. He had a great preseason, man. Nathan Peterman did. Got top 5 back in LaShawn McCoy. He's got a guy at receiver in Kelvin Benjamin who has a lot to prove this year because he's still trying to live up to that first-round name. He had moments of doing it in Carolina last year. His entire career, I mean, he had flashes of that first-round talent, but he's just too inconsistent. Had that one year in 2015 where he missed the whole year and the Panthers went 15-1 without him. That wasn't a good sign. I think he's got a lot to prove in Buffalo. I think he could be definitely a breakout player this year. He's got a lot to prove, man. This could be his last year of trying to get a starting job in the NFL. If he doesn't cut it this year, he could be one of those guys pushing for a fringe backup spot. So he's got a lot to show this year. But I don't know, man. This is kind of a toss-up. I mean, I'm just not really a fan of either of these teams, honestly. Not saying I hate them or anything. I just don't like their rosters. I do like the Ravens' defense, though. The Ravens' defense was fantastic last year. That was definitely their bright spot. That was the reason they were in a playoff hunt before Andy Dalton just said, screw that, I'm throwing a 50-yard bomb on, like, 4th and 14 to end your season. So I think I'm going to pick the Ravens here just because they're at home. Yeah, I'm going to go final score. 83% agree with me. That's pretty high. I thought it'd be a bit of a toss-up. I'm going to go final score. Baltimore 24, Buffalo 10. Next game. This could be an interesting one. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns went winless last year, which I didn't expect. I thought they were better than a winless team. And, yeah, this is, oh my God, I don't know, man. They made a lot of moves in the offseason. They traded left, right, and center for guys. Tyrod Taylor, the new quarterback. They got him from the Buffalo Bills. Jarvis Landry, they got from the Dolphins. He's going to be a solid player. Yeah, they got a great team, man. I think their defense is great. Last year, even going 0-16, their defense was not the problem. They have some solid young playmakers on the defense. And they drafted Nick Chubb out of UJ, who's my guy. Big UJ fan here. They also got Carlos Hyde from the 49ers, so that's a decent running back by committee they got going there. Pittsburgh, though, I mean, they're just a great team. I think they went 12-4 last year, made the divisional round, lost to the Jaguars in that epic shootout. They're a solid team. Ben Roethlisberger is a great quarterback. He's on all 3 of my fantasy teams this year, which is kind of weird how that worked out. I just kept having to draft him because, yeah. And, okay, all hell is breaking loose. So, give me a second. I'll be right back. So, yeah, as I was saying, Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback, great quarterback right there. They have Le'Veon Bell, who, in my opinion, at this point, best the running back in the NFL. David Johnson is right there, but coming off that injury, he has a lot to prove. Todd Gurley, obviously. I think Todd Gurley will eventually be the best. Currently, I'm going with Bell. And they have, definitely, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL in Antonio Brown. I'm a Falcons fan, but I'm sorry. Julio Jones is just way too inconsistent to be the best. So Brown is just week in, week out, gets it done no matter who's playing. Great receiver. Defense, pretty good. I mean, they didn't force a lot of turnovers last year, but they did get 56 sacks, which I'm pretty sure led the entire league. It is in Cleveland. This is a tough game to predict, but I'm going to go with what I know to be good rather than what I think can be good. I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one. 87% agrees. I think it will be close. I think the Browns could have a definitely much improved season this year. It's very, very easy to improve from 0-16, but I'm going to go final score, Pittsburgh 31, Cleveland 21. Next game, Cincinnati Bengals at the Indianapolis Colts. Big story for the Colts. Andrew Luck coming back from that weird shoulder injury last year, which didn't seem serious at the time. And then all of a sudden, as the weeks got by, that timetable just kept getting pushed back and back further until it was just the end of the season. He didn't play the whole year. Jacoby Brissett was the guy. That's a big improvement for the Colts, man. They need Andrew Luck back. On the other side, Andy Dalton is not great, but I do think he's better than people give him credit for. People think he's just straight trash, which he's really not. He's actually a pretty decent quarterback. If you look up his stats, it's just he's not on a great team now, so I'm got to blame someone, and let's face it, he hasn't had good playoff success so far, even though I think that's a team thing. Yeah, he's going to get some flack, and I can understand it, but I don't think he deserves the amount of flack he gets. But, I mean, I think he has some decent weapons this year. I mean, Joe Mixon coming into his second year, and Gio Bernard at running back, solid two running backs right there. They got some good upside, definitely. Receiver AJ Green, top five still to me. I know some people have fallen off on him in the last few years. I understand that he's definitely not AJ Green for 2011 or 2012 when you could argue he was top three right there with guys like Julio and Brown. But he's still a beast. He's still a great receiver. He's still the number one guy from Andy Dalton. He's going to have a good season, I think. But this is going to be an interesting game. Their defenses, I'm not really sold on either of their defenses. And I'm not really sold on the Colts at running back. I know that a lot of hype is going around Marlon Mack right now. I don't know, man. I just don't see it right now. But I'm not going to say it can't happen. I think he could have a solid year. T.Y. Hilton's an incredible receiver. I love T.Y. Hilton, top 10 receiver, man. Talk about an absolute stud, man. Always a good player. I've always liked him. Great explosive deep threat. Jack Doyle is a great tight end. Eric Ebron is going to be in there to take some of the pressure off of him this year. Jack Doyle was top 5 in targets, receptions, all that stuff last year for tight ends. They want to take some of that load off him. Get Eric Ebron in there on 2 tight end sets so that Jack Doyle doesn't have to be guys. So that's pretty interesting. I think this could actually be a low-key shootout because I'm really not a big fan of either of their defenses. I mean, yes, they have individual stars in their defense. Bengals have Geno Atkins. Colts, they still have Vontae Davis is gone. Okay, I don't know who the Colts have. Maybe a bunch of rookies. I don't know. Someone's in there that's decent, I'm sure. But yeah, it could be a shootout. But I think it comes down to the quarterbacks, and it's about whether you think Andy Dalton or Andrew Luck is better. And if he's fully healthy, I'm gonna go with Andrew Luck here. I think this will be a close game. This will be, I think, an underrated game to watch. Actually, I think it'll be pretty close. And yeah, 58% to 42 for the Colts. Okay, they don't know how to add to 100, but that's a pretty close game. That's close to one we've seen so far, and I think they're right on the money here. Oh my God, slight voice crack. Sorry about that, but I'm gonna go final score: Indianapolis 28, Bengals 21. Next game, Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chiefs made some clear rebuilding moves in the offseason. They traded Alex Smith to Washington, let go of Tamba Hali. I do think Chiefs are a tough team to predict. You could legitimately make the argument they could finish anywhere from 6-10 to 10-6 for that team. It all depends on how second-year quarterback out of Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes, plays this year. He had a good game last year in relief. He only played one game. The last game they rested Alex Smith for the playoffs. Played decent, but it was against the Broncos team who was absolutely decimated last year, had a really bad season. And on the other side, I am a big fan of Philip Rivers. I'm probably, outside of Chargers fans, I'm probably one of the biggest Philip Rivers guys you'll find. I think he's top 5. It's definitely debatable. I think he is honestly better than Roethlisberger. That's definitely an unpopular opinion, so if anyone sees this, don't roast me on it. I know it's unpopular. That's just my personal opinion. He has great skill players around him. Melvin Gordon's a solid workhorse back. Not necessarily an explosive guy, but he's definitely a guy you can give 300, 350 carries for about 1,200, 1,300 yards. That's the kind of guy he is, which isn't really flashy, but it works in the NFL. That helps you kill the clock, helps you set up play action. It works great. It's a great combo. And if they can set up play action, they got great receivers to throw to. Because they got Keenan Allen, who's definitely a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Me, I'd probably place him maybe 7 or 8. He's definitely a great player. When healthy. And that's the key thing. Last season was the first season in a long time Keenan Allen has stayed healthy. And it showed. Because he absolutely had a great year. And if he can stay healthy, I see no reason why he can't repeat it. But can he stay healthy? That's the key for Keenan Allen. And, I mean, they've just signed Antonio Gates back a few days ago because poor Hunter Henry tore his ACL in May. Just hate to see stuff like that. But I think that Mike Williams this year is the key. If Mike Williams can show why the Chargers gave that high pick to him, and he can stay healthy, which he didn't do last year. That's the main thing with the Chargers. They didn't stay healthy. Their kicking game was bad. They missed like 4 game-winning kicks, 3 or 4 at least, and still went 9-7. I think this team will win the West. I think they will surprise people this year behind a great quarterback in Philip Rivers. an incredible defense with probably the most underrated cornerback in the league in Casey Hayward. They have solid young guys in Desmond King. I mean, Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, the two best the best pass rushing duo in the entire NFL. They're going to surprise people this year. I think they could go 10-6 or 11-5, and I have them winning the West. I'm going to go final score: San Diego 31, Chiefs 14. Yeah. Oh, 56%. Pretty close. I can understand it, definitely. Next game, Super Bowl 48 rematch. You got the Seattle Seahawks. Hang on, there we go. Seattle Seahawks at the Denver Broncos. Denver got Case Keenum from Minnesota, which I do think is an underrated move, but let me talk about the Seahawks first. Seahawks coming off a 9-7 season. Russell Wilson was the only reason they got those 9 wins because they had no offensive line, worst running game in the NFL. Ever since they made that rule, eliminating chop blocks that they used back when they had Marshawn Lynch, haven't been able to reestablish the running game identity. They do have a great receiver in Doug Baldwin. Jimmy Graham's gone now at tight end. I don't know what they're doing at tight end. Really, I honestly don't remember their tight end now that Jimmy Graham's gone. But offense, it's the offensive line. Can the offensive line hold up? They drafted Rashad Penny at running back. We'll see how he does. They still have Chris Carson. Main thing is, can the offensive line protect Russell Wilson? And can they have a balanced running game? That's the main key. I don't know. I really don't. Last year they didn't, and they still went 9-7. So I think people are counting out the Seahawks a little too early now. But the defense isn't the same it was. Richard Sherman went to San Francisco. Cam Chancellor's talking about retiring, and I haven't seen it beneficial yet, but he's talking about retiring. Earl Thomas is in trade talks basically every day, mainly to the Cowboys. His future's uncertain. We have no clue what's going on with that team, really. I think they're in complete disarray. I think Pete Carroll could be out of a job very soon. If they go 6-10 or something, 7-9 this year, I think all of a sudden John Schneider's going to have enough. He's going to get rid of him, even though it's not really his fault. Someone's got to take the fall, and I think Pete Carroll could be on the hot seat very early this year. Going on the road to Denver, which is right up there with Seattle for one of the toughest places to play. That altitude, it just kills your oxygen levels, man. People just get dead tired playing up in Denver. Obviously, the Broncos players get used to it. They just adapt to it. They get used to it. It's no problem for them. But, I mean, going on the road there with that defense, people forget. Yes, they had an off year last year. But the pieces for the elite Denver Broncos defense, which was the reason they won Super Bowl 50 against the Panthers, is still there. Yes, a guy like Talib is gone, but they have Bradley Roby going right there. They still have Chris Harris, who's a beast corner. They do not have DeMarcus Ware anymore, but they drafted Bradley Chubb out of NC State, number 5 overall. And on the other side, you still have, in my opinion, one of the best, the best pass rush in the NFL, in Von Miller. Von Miller is the defense here. He's their leader. So, excuse me. They still have that elite defense. I think it could be top 5, maybe top 3, but definite top 10 defense. That defense, they had some off games last year, but it wasn't a problem with their team. It was the offense, mainly the quarterback. Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler just weren't the answer at quarterback last year. They had good moments, but I mean, it was mainly highlighted by bad moments. And I just saw yesterday they waived Paxton Lynch, the first-round pick. So clearly they don't believe in him. They're going with Case Keenum, like I said, they got from the Vikings, which could be a underrated signing. Yes, Keenum's not a world beater, but he's a game manager. He's a great game manager. And with the receivers he's got, Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, that's some decent weapons to throw to. I mean, all of a sudden that game manager could start managing some games very well. And Royce Freeman, the rookie running back out of Oregon, who I like a lot, has really impressed in training camp for the preseason. There's talks he's going to be splitting time with Devontae Booker. If Royce Freeman can get it going, I honestly think, and I've been saying this for a while, Denver is the dark horse in the AFC. This is a team that, with Case Keenum at quarterback, managing the offense, not being as inept as freaking Siemian and Osweiler were last year, but just checking it down, dumping it off, dink and dunk it down the field, maybe just get some points. Field position. If they can win the field position game with Case Keenum at quarterback, and they still have a great defense, this is a team that could sneak 10 wins and get in the wild card and surprise people. I'm saying it now. This is the dark horse in the AFC, and I think going on the road, Seattle has a lot of holes, man. I love Russell Wilson, great player, fourth best quarterback in the NFL in my opinion, but I just don't know if he can go on the road in this environment and get it done. I'm picking the Broncos. 41% agree with me. I think Denver will actually win convincingly, honestly. I think that he wins something like 28-10. I'm really a big fan of this Broncos team. Next game, the battle for two underachieving teams this year. Washington Redskins at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals just announced that Samuel Bradford will be the starter, who's a great quarterback when he's healthy. Problem with Sam Bradford has never been his play. I mean, he's improved, but if you look at the stats, yeah, his first and second year weren't great, but ever since then, he's improved every single year. He's a good quarterback when he's healthy. He's missed so much time with injuries. He missed a whole year in 2013, which was what caused the Rams to kind of cut it short, or was it 2014? But yeah, the year he missed the whole year for the Rams, they were like, that's enough. This guy can't get it done. But when he is healthy, like he was in 2016 with the Vikings, incredible player. Even last year, in the 2 games he played before he was shut down for Case Keenum, he was not the problem with the Vikings. The Vikings were pretty good, actually, under Sam Bradford. His stats were great, like 3 touchdowns, no picks, 100-plus QB rating. He's a great quarterback, and I think they made the right move starting him over Josh Rosen. Don't want to put the rookie in too early. Sam Bradford's a great quarterback when healthy. Just put him in. Hopefully he stays healthy. If he can stay healthy, that's a big if, but if he can, Arizona will not be a pushover this year. They could go 8-8 maybe. They are in a tough division, but I think they could honestly be better than Seattle. I just think Seattle has way too many holes that poor Russell Wilson is going to have to try and cover up this year. But yeah, they got a top 2 running back, David Johnson, who's on one of my fantasy teams. I think he's a great player, great all-around back. Obviously, great running the ball, but he's also a solid pass catcher. Missed like all but 2 games or 1 game last year with that horrible injury. He'll come back. He could be in comeback player of the year talk. He's a great player. On the other side, Washington, complete mess. I mean, I like Alex Smith. I used to not like him, but after last year, I kind of grew to respect his game a little more. I think he's a solid quarterback. He kind of went out of that game manager mold last year with the season he had, but I mean, then all of a sudden another playoff choke for the Chiefs, which isn't entirely his fault. I mean, the Chiefs have had a bad time choking in playoff games, and their coach is Andy Reid, who is definitely a respectable coach, but has a reputation for losing big games. And I mean, I just don't know, man. I mean, running back Darius Geis towards ACL in preseason, so they signed Adrian Peterson to fill that hole. I like Adrian Peterson. He's always been one of my favorite NFL players. If he doesn't have to carry the load, he could definitely get 600 to 800 yards, man. He's not the same Adrian Peterson. Even I will admit that, but I think he could be an underrated signing for them. If he can get some decent playing time, he's probably going to be the lead back because Darius Geis and Samaje Perine are both injured. He'll get some decent playing time with I think his name is Chris Thompson's the other guy. If Thompson and friggin' Peterson can split time, it could be an interesting running game. Wide receiver, I mean, Jamison Crowder, I like. Paul Richardson, I think he's overpaid, but he's decent. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't think there's enough star players here. I mean, Ryan Kerrigan is a great player, but outside of that on the defense, Josh Norman's okay. He's not the player he was in Carolina. I do think he's getting overpaid. I just don't think they have enough this year. I really don't. And I'm not a big fan of Arizona's team, but I'm gonna pick them to win this game. 60% agree with me, so it is pretty close. I don't know. I'm gonna go final score: Arizona 24, Washington 14. Next game, potential upset alert right here, I think. Dallas Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. Unfortunately, Cowboys, I don't know why they cut Dan Bailey after one bad year. Kind of a head-scratching move. I haven't checked to see who their kicker is right now, but I mean, it's basically how will Dak do this year? Because last year when Ezekiel Elliott got suspended, he just did not do well. And I like Dak. I think he gets a lot more crap than he deserves. Definitely because he's on the Cowboys and people hate the Cowboys, which I understand. But I think he's a solid player. He's got a lot to prove this year, though. Dez Bryant is gone. Dez Bryant dropped a lot of passes last year. A lot of Cowboys fans saying it was time to go, and he is gone now. So he's got a lot to prove, but he can lean on Ezekiel Elliott this year. But I don't know about Dak. I really don't. We have to I have to see what he can do without Elliott again. But I mean, as long as Elliott's healthy, he's a top 3 back in the NFL in my opinion. Great player. On the other side, Panthers coming off a nice season last year, going 10-6, I believe it was, or 10-6, 11-5, something like that. Second in the South, I think. Or were they third? I don't remember, man. There was a bunch of tiebreakers and crap. I believe, yeah, they were third actually, because they were the 6th seed, went on to the Saints, who were the 3rd seed. Yeah. So third in the NFC South with 10 wins. Good team. Cam Newton's not a great passer, but he's probably one of them. He's top 2 athletic quarterback in the NFL, right up there with Russell Wilson. You can give the edge to either. They're both really athletic players. Not the best passer, but I mean, we'll see what Christian McCaffrey can do this year too, carrying the load now that Jonathan Stewart's with the Giants. That'll be pretty interesting. I do think he's getting a little overhyped right now. I think he's a good player, definitely. Decent running back, good pass catcher, but can he carry the load for Carolina? That's the key. I'm not sure. I'm really not. I think he's being a little overhyped right now, but he's a good player. I'm not trying to say he's overrated or anything. I'm just trying to say let's see what he can do as the workhorse back first before we say, oh yeah, he's a first round pick in the fantasy draft, top 10 pick right here, guaranteed stud. I just want to see what he can do. Let's just see what he can do a few games. I think their defense is pretty solid. D-line, pretty good. Luke Kuechly's the best linebacker in the NFL, in my opinion. Best 4-3, I should say, excuse me, because 4-3-3-4, it's completely different. It's just about Cam Newton, and I don't know. I like Cam Newton. I don't hate Cam Newton or like him. I'm kind of indifferent on him. I used to really like him. Now I'm not sure. I think he's kind of reached his potential as an average passer with a great athleticism. But I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up, I'm be honest. And I think they have some holes right now. They're probably have some injuries, but they still have a top 3 running back. Dak with Elliott has proved to be effective. I think that Dallas can actually pick up the upset here, and that's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm probably going to get slammed for this pick. I know the Cowboys choke. I get it, guys. They're not a good team. They just choke in big moments. But I'm picking them here this game. 33% agree with me, so that's not great. I'm going to go, I don't know, final score, Dallas 27, Carolina 21. Next game, Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. The Bears just made big news by trading for Khalil Mack, signed to a 6-year, $134 million extension. That's a great move for what was already an underrated top 10 defense. They will keep Chicago in contention. They could somehow win 7 or 8 games and still finish 4th in their division. That's how tough the NFC is this year, man. They're a decent team. It's all on how Mitchell Trubisky progresses. I like Trubisky, but last year it was very hit or miss with him. He's very inconsistent. You could definitely tell he was a rookie with some of the struggles he had. I don't know. He's got a lot to prove this year. He's got a freaking amazing back in Jordan Howard, pushing top 5. I won't put him there yet, but he's definitely a great player. Yeah, I mean they got some decent underrated talent. They made some nice moves in the offseason, getting guys like Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel for Trubisky to have some weapons. That's a very interesting thing. And okay, I'm just gonna say Aaron Rodgers, great player, top 3. People are underrating the Packers this year. I think I've seen basically 90% of people pick the Vikings to win the North. But a healthy Aaron Rodgers makes all the difference in the world. They started 4-1 last year under Rodgers. Gets hurt, they go 3-8 the rest of the way, finish 7-9. That's the whole thing about that team. Aaron Rodgers covers up so many holes on that team. Just got signed to a massive extension. Running backs, I like Jamal Williams a lot. He's a great young running back. Ty Montgomery's a nice change of pace back, converted wide receiver. Solid speed back. Receivers, Randall Cobb is decent. He's regressing, kind of overpaid. Devontae Adams, one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I like him a lot. And they signed Jimmy Graham at tight end, which I think Rodgers to Graham could be one of the most underrated, or not underrated, deadly combos in the NFL. Remember when Jimmy Graham had Drew Brees in a passing offense? The records they put up, I'm not saying they'll do that, but I think Jimmy Graham could go back to 800, maybe 900-yard guy. In Seattle, he wasn't really that guy. He was more of a red zone target. He'd still get double-digit TDs, but the yards weren't really there. I think last year he got like 52 catches on 500 yards. Not good, but I mean he was a solid red zone target. But yeah, I think Green Bay will win this game. But I don't agree with the 94-6 split. I think this game will be closer than people think. I don't think it's going to be a blowout at all. I think people are underrating the Bears in this game, but Packers should be the favorites. But 6%, that's a little low, man. I'm going to go final score Green Bay 31, Chicago 17. Monday Night Football games. I got to wrap this up because my voice is going. I don't even know how long this is. Jets at Lions. I'm just going to pick the Lions because they're starting Sam Darnold. I'm not sure about that. I do think Sam Darnold is being a little overrated right now. He was a turnover machine in college, and from what I saw in preseason, he was good, but it was a lot of checkdowns and stuff. No really big passes that I saw. It was just kind of dink and dunk with the occasional 15-yard or so throw. Pretty good. Would I have started him over Josh McCown? Probably not. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to re-sign 39-year-old Josh McCown just to put him on the bench. He's a great mentor for Darnold, but I'm not sure about it. I think whoever they start this year, the Jets aren't making the playoffs, not even close. I think they're a decent team, but, I mean, their division's just too tough. I think the Patriots sweep them. Bills and Dolphins probably split, but that's 4 losses right there. There's not enough. There's not enough on that team yet. I do think they're getting better. Todd Bowles is a good coach. Got him 10 wins a few years ago, but not enough this year. So we'll see how Sam Darnold does. Detroit, Matthew Stafford, incredible player, top 10 quarterback. Main thing is their running game. Can they get a running game? Because that's what Matt Stafford hasn't had his entire career, except for sometimes with Reggie Bush they did. He needs a running game. He hasn't had a 100-yard receiver or 100-yard rusher since 2013, which was Reggie Bush. No running game ever. Puts a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford and the receivers, Marvin Jones and Golden Tate, to get it done. And their defense, Darius Slay is an incredible corner, top 5, incredibly underrated player. They got some good pieces on defense, but the main thing is, can they get the running game going? I think Kerryon Johnson out of Auburn, I like the kid a lot. Even as a Georgia fan, I think he's a beast. He needs to get it done for Detroit this year. There's a lot of pressure on that rookie right there because they haven't had a running game in a long time. They signed LeGarrette Blount, which would be a great signing. I've always liked LeGarrette Blount. I think he's a solid player, good player. On goal line or third and second and short, there's probably not many running backs better than LeGarrette Blount in those situations. Kerryon Johnson could be a lead back, but LeGarrette Blount could still somehow snag like 8 or 9 touchdowns this year on the goal line. He's a great player there. That'll definitely help the running game. They haven't had a bruising back. Well, maybe Barry Sanders, honestly. They need that. So I'm going to go Detroit to win this game. Final score, Detroit 31, Jets 16. Last game, Rams the Raiders. Raiders just traded Khalil Mack. Big move, but John Gruden just I don't think John Gruden really liked Khalil Mack. There are reports they hadn't even contacted each other for a few months, and I think John Gruden was just waiting for the moment to trade him because, I mean, Oakland's not a very great market. It's obviously, I don't want to sound rude, but it's a poor city. I mean, the infrastructure's falling apart. There's a reason they're moving to Las Vegas. That's what I'm saying. Oakland can't really survive much longer in that market, and if Khalil Mack wanted something of $22 million a year, that they just can't afford that anymore. They can't even afford to have their own stadium. They have to share it with the A's. In September games, they have the outfield still on the grass while the Raiders are playing. It just looks pretty bad. Oakland just, it's a good move to move to Las Vegas. At first, I was like, why? But looking at it now, it's a good move. It definitely makes more sense than the freaking Chargers moving to Los Angeles. That's still a joke, but let's not get into that. Raiders, Derek Carr is good quarterback. Marshawn Lynch, decent running back. I don't think he's the same guy people think he is. They're still looking for Seattle Beast Mode running back. I don't see him as Beast Mode anymore. I just see him as Marshawn Lynch. He's still a decent player, but I do think he's being a little overrated right now just because of what he used to be. But he's still a decent running back. And then wide receivers, Amari Cooper's a good player, but I don't know. I just don't think this Raiders team has it. Too many holes on defense. Their captain is gone now, Khalil Mack. So that's a big hole. I'm going to pick the Rams to win this game. I love Jared Goff. He's a great player. Todd Gurley, top 3 running back in the NFL. Solid wide receivers. They got Brandon Cooks in the offseason. Their defense is incredible. Aaron Donald just got freaking paid. Best D tackle in the NFL. Great player. Double-digit sack guy at D tackle. We go final score. Los Angeles 35, Raiders 10. I'm not a big fan of the Raiders, honestly. So that's going to do it for my week 1 picks, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Any NFL fans watching this, let me know what you think of my picks. I tried to explain each of them pretty well, but I'm sure people will disagree. A lot of these games are very debatable. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. And sorry for my barking dogs in the background. I don't know what's going on with them. And yeah, see you guys next time. Have a great day.